Tack, Jan. Tack.
Thank you. Thank you for your thank yous. And thank you for your words last night, which were so pleasant to listen to. We've now come to the end of the 16th Nordic Copyright Symposium, which was based on a particular model where we had one simple thematic theme, the extended collective license. And the title of the symposium always included the concept of how far. And we've permanently talked about and discussed the extent, how far. We didn't discuss the trivial cases of using an extended collective license for local repertoire licensed by the local managing organization and in accordance with local legal provisions. That's way too trivial in the sense that everything that goes beyond that were part of this concept of how far. The reporting from this meeting will be produced in writing, a book to come out, and I hope that all those who've contributed to this meeting also have the final drop of energy left required to write a written version of their submissions, longer or shorter articles or similar, so that it will be possible for those who were not able to be present here today to enjoy all of the analytical knowledge that we have shared here. And I am convinced that many of the speakers we've had here today, it will be very, very interesting for you to write this in two languages, in the Nordic language and English, why not? Or to commission a translation, indeed. And we can also contribute so that where appropriate and necessary outside of the Nordics, we can also provide information the rest of the world outside of the Nordics about this. And again, and the background to this seminar was, of course, the growing international interest in the ECL. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been discussing the cross-border and multi-territorial issues. Secondly, there's also a need for interpretations based on various conventions and EU law, as well as established opinions and possibly also consensus which exist on these matters. This symposium was intended to be one step in that process to obtain sufficient clarity so that it is possible to discuss extended licenses without having that permanent questioning in the air. And for such steps, you need information. We have compiled and got the information out. We need an open debate and then understanding of things amongst ourselves and with others. We find that there are many good points to be underlined in this system, of course. In the Nordics, we have an interest in defending what we have, of course, and I don't think anyone is opposed to the idea that you fine-tune and improve things that are already in existence, but we do have something that works, and it would be interesting to see if anyone will be capable of and intelligent enough, in fact, to discover or devise a better system to deal with the matters of externals. Or, as I said, at some point, when you have identified this problem, in quotes, of those who are rights holders but who are outside of the system, you cannot not resolve the problem. And then there are a few well-known types of solutions. The benefit also involve users, the ones who avail themselves of these works, and that was, of course, the historical reason for why in the Nordics we came to use this model. to have legal certainty for the radio companies in those days, but now we see that this is also very beneficial to rights holders, to the managing organizations, the CMOs. Undeniably, this is something which also strengthens the collective management. Questions have been raised and answers have been given, but not always with full unanimity in the room. So we have every reason to continue our discussions as long as for some there are various key points in analyses, etc., where there can be full unanimity, not just here, of course, but also outside. And that's a pedagogical challenge from the Nordics to the rest of the world. We have put together and presented lots and lots of information, and this meeting is not the end. Rather, it's an ongoing process of work in this area internationally. The main purpose was not to just provide the problems. Well, yes, that's important, but also to try and give some immediate answers and interpretations that are then open for assessment, and there are many such. Now we've come to the end of this symposium, and it is time for me to thank all speakers, chairs of panels, participants for having come here today, the speakers. We've had presentations of very high quality, very high standards, and I'd like to thank my own former ministry who contributed significantly, not just intellectually, but also financially. Thank you very much. And the city of Helsinki also showed great generosity to us. And I'd like to thank the board of our society. They were the organizing committee, and my team, Jaakko Eskola, and our information officer, Anne Holata. Our assistants, thank you to all of you, and to the interpreters, thank you, says the speaker. With your help, we have Iceland and Finns and invited English-speaking guests. Our guests of honor have been able to follow the proceedings, not just here, but of course also outside of the room, because there has been streaming, which I've heard has worked as intended. And finally, the House of the Estates and its staff. That was all on my part. I would now invite all of you, or rather ask all of you, to please stay another few moments to enjoy a glass of sparkling wine next door to conclude this 16th Nordic Copyright Symposium is hereby closed. Thank you.